Hello, this is Mark Taylor. Welcome back. Thank you for joining me on this series of videos for just getting yourself understanding what it's like to be a parent when you want to support your children and some of the things that I can help you with some of the questions that I get asked quite a lot. And once your child has been learning for, I don't know, a few weeks, a few months, certainly a term or two terms, we're going to start thinking about having a drum kit of your own to have it home. And of course, that's quite a big decision. It makes a big difference depending on what type of house you live in, how much space you've got, how many other siblings are there, if you're working from home, all manner of different things. So the first thing we need to decide is kind of exactly what type of options are there for us. And as I said, there are lots of different variables for these things. So the first two things I would say are your two main options are an electric drum kit or an acoustic kit. And this really comes down to space and also to the amount of volume you want to be able to have going around in your house. So first of all, the electric drum kit will look something like this. This is mine that I was using in my little studio here when we were doing our online teaching. It's great for that sort of thing because you can control the sound, and obviously my kids were doing homeschooling and all that kind of thing, so it was brilliant to be able to control that sort of thing. It does come with some added extras that you need to have either a set of headphones to be able to listen to what's going on, or a little speaker, and then of course you get some of the volume issues coming through there again. But you can see it's basically a set of rubber pads for cymbals and drums. Some of the more expensive electric kits have a different type of material that you can hit, but I think when you're first starting, you're going to want something which is relatively inexpensive but do the job that you want. And really, to begin with, you're talking around the 250, 350, that kind of thing for a really sort of starter getting going kind of kit. And we'll have more details of exactly all the links to some of those options that you can have a look at here from here. But this video is really just kind of getting your head around a real drum kit or an acoustic drum kit and an electric one. So it works in exactly the same way. You can see each of those pads represents a drum. You also have two cymbals at the top. You have an electronic brain, which gives you lots of sounds and lots of different things that you can create. And that's quite a lot of fun. Lots of children really enjoy doing that and making different sounds on their drums. But it's a way of having less volume. It packs down quite small. There was one child I taught who actually was able to pack it down every time they used it because they were living in a flat, just get it out to practice and put it down again. So you really do have those options. The difference is it obviously feels different. The reaction you get from a pad is different from a real drum, and some of those things as well. But it's much better than not having anything, because what you do get is the coordination of moving between the pads or the drums in order to make that work. So an acoustic kit looks something like this. You can see there you've got a 5-piece drum kit, which is what I'd recommend, which has a snare drum, a high tom, a medium tom, a low tom, a bass drum, and then you have the cymbals, and there are various ones that you can have, but you definitely need a hi-hat, which is the one on the far right here. The one on the far left at the back is a ride cymbal, and then we have two crash cymbals, which are the two towards the front of this picture. Really beginner drum kits often come with a hi-hat and a cymbal, which you can use as a ride cymbal and a crash cymbal. Your children will know these terms because we will have been talking about them in lessons. I recommend, if you possibly can, hi-hat, ride cymbal, crash cymbal. And again, I'm going to have a document that you can download with all these things, which will have links and details to show you the different things as well. But for now, just to give you an idea of it looks something like this here with this sort of amount of cymbals. And also the other thing I want to point out, there are two extra things that you're going to need to make sure that you have as well. You can see here there's a music stand. That's really important to be able to make sure that when your child is playing, they have the music stand in a place where they can actually see the music, and actually that enables them to be nice and relaxed when they're playing and also see the music they're doing. And that's the same for the electric kit as well. That's often something that people forget. And also you need to make sure that when you buy a new drum kit, it comes with a stool, because of course we're going to want a height adjustable stool to make it as comfy as possible. The other main difference between the electric kit and an acoustic kit, of course, can be the size as well. You've got much more flexibility on an electric kit in terms of setting it up and the different sizes. Some of the more sort of 80s type rock drums obviously have much deeper drums, were much designed to be played in that kind of rock kind of way. And some of those drums are bigger, which can be quite difficult if your child maybe is, you know, in prep or kind of before they get into senior school. So it might be having a slightly different range of drums makes a difference there. Again, I'll have all this information on the document which explains all of that. So do check in the details below, because there'll be a link there of where you can go and get hold of that document, which will be able to show you different things which will help you. And again, always get in contact with me and we can have a conversation about it. But it just, as I said, gives you an idea of where to start when you're thinking about the drums. How much space do you have? How much noise can you put up with? Who do you have around in your house? And that kind of gives you a really good starting point. If all of that isn't really an option and you have the space and the noise won't be an issue, I do suggest an acoustic kit, because especially as you start to get further down the learning process, we're making more and more different types of sounds, and understanding the sort of timbre of the drum kit and the type of sound you're making makes a big difference. And while we'll be practicing that in the lessons, it's much harder to do that on an electric kit, which is much more sort of one-dimensional, again, unless you have a really expensive one. So I hope that helps, and look forward to chatting to you again on the next video.